Welcome guys. In this video we talk about the disorders of the thyroid gland. Okay, but before that we talk about the basic things of the thyroid gland. What is the thyroid gland and where it is located, what is the function of the thyroid gland and what type of hormones it releases and why we need this thyroid gland. Then we talk about the disorders of the thyroid gland, that's the hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism. So before that we talk about some basic things about this gland. Okay, here I made the structure of the thyroid gland. This is the structure of the thyroid gland, and the thyroid gland is located below the Adam's apple. This is the Adam's apple, this is the Adam's, and below the Adam's apple the thyroid gland is present. Okay, so this is the Adam's apple. Below the Adam's apple, the thyroid gland is present. This bilobed structure is called thyroid gland. Okay, so here is the another structure, the pipe like structure. It's called trachea or it's called windpipe or trachea. So this bilobed structure, these two lobes, it's a butterfly like structure, and these two lobes are connected by a bridge like structure. The bridge like structure is called isthmus. Okay, this is the bridge here, and these two lobes, this is the one lobe and this is the second lobe. These two lobes are connected by a bridge like structure called isthmus. Okay, so this is the bilobed structure of the thyroid gland, and what type of hormones actually it releases. Here I also made another structure, the thyroid gland without this trachea or the Adam's apple. So here this is the another structure of the thyroid gland. This is the thyroid gland, and these two lobes are connected by a bridge like structure called isthmus. Okay, now come to the hormones. What type of hormones it releases? Actually it releases T3, it releases T4, it releases calcitonin. Okay, it releases T3, it releases T4, it releases calcitonin. T3 and T4, the T3 means triiodothyronine and the T4 means thyroxine. So why we need this gland, or why we need these hormones? So these hormones, actually the job of these hormones, when this gland releases the hormones, it travel through the blood. Okay, it comes into our blood and travel it reaches every cell in our body. Okay, so what is the job of these hormones? Actually these hormones regulate our heart rate, it regulates our metabolism of the cell, it regulates speed of the cell or metabolism or work of the cell. So these hormones, if these hormones release this gland in a higher concentration or above the normal range, so what happens? That condition is called hyperthyroidism. That's the disorders of the this thyroid gland. So if this thyroid gland releases the hormones, okay, these hormones above the normal range. For example, the normal range is let's assume the normal range is 80%. For example, the normal range is 80%. Okay, but it releases, for example, the normal range is 80. Okay, it releases but 100. Okay, so that's the condition is called hyperthyroidism. So the condition is called hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism means the thyroid gland releases above the normal range of the these hormones. So the condition is called hyperthyroidism. In hyperthyroidism, the thyroid gland releases these hormones above the normal range, so the condition is called hyperthyroidism. But if this thyroid gland releases the hormones below the normal range, for example the normal range is 80%, but it releases 40%, for example it releases 40%, okay, that condition is called Okay, that condition is called hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism means when the gland, when this thyroid gland releases lower or below the normal range of the these hormones, that condition is called hypothyroidism. So we talk about first of all hyperthyroidism, and then we talk about the hypothyroidism. We talk about what is the example of this hyperthyroidism. The example of this hyperthyroidism is Graves' disease. Okay, the example is Graves' disease. What happens in Graves' disease? In Graves' disease, the concentration of these hormones, okay, T3, T4, the concentration of these hormones goes above the normal. Okay, that happens in Graves' disease. Actually, our immune system attacks on this thyroid gland. Our immune system is designed in such a way, when any foreign particle or when any pathogen or when any virus comes inside our body, our immune system responses that foreign particle or whatever there is. So but in some cases our immune system cannot recognize our own cells. Okay, that's why our immune system attacks on it. So here in Graves' disease, our immune system attacks on our cells, our own cells, and this gland or this thyroid gland releases the hormones above the normal. Okay, it is happening in this Graves' disease. So come to the next point, that is hypothyroidism. In hypothyroidism, our gland releases not enough hormones, or it releases below the normal range of the hormones. So in the example of the hypothyroidism is simple goitre or congenital hypothyroidism, or the another is Myxedema. Okay, there are also the another that's called Hashimoto's disease. Okay, in this simple goitre in hypothyroidism, the concentration of these hormones goes below the normal. Okay, in simple goitre, what happens in simple goitre, there are maybe differentiation of the iodine, or in this case our this gland, or this thyroid gland, it becomes enlarged. Okay, it becomes enlarged, and it is happening in the simple goitre. Okay, in hypothyroidism. In the next condition, that's called the congenital hypothyroidism. So in congenital hypothyroidism, what happens in this situation? The thyroid gland is absent at the beginning. Okay, at the beginning the thyroid gland is absent, or maybe it's under development. Okay, the thyroid gland is maybe the under development, and in this condition the thyroid gland is absent, or it's under development. So when the baby it's in this condition is happens in the babies. So this gland is absent, or either it's under development, or that condition is called dysgenesis. Okay, that condition, when the thyroid gland is absent or it's under development, that condition is called dysgenesis. Or there are also another condition. For example, if the thyroid gland is present in the babies, or this thyroid gland is present, but the thyroid gland cannot release the hormones. Okay, it doesn't release the hormones, so that condition is called dysharmonogenesis. Okay, that condition is called dysharmonogenesis. Means that when the gland is present, when the thyroid gland is present, but it cannot release the hormones, that condition is called dysharmonogenesis. So these things, these dysgenesis and this dysharmonogenesis happening in this congenital hypothyroidism. Now the next is the myxedema. Okay, the myxedema, whatever you translate or whatever you pronounce it, myxedema. So in this condition, our skin swells. Okay, in this condition, because these hormones are not enough, or these hormones are below the normal range. In this condition, our skin or our face swells. Okay, including lips or eyes, eyes swells. Okay, it is the condition in the myxedema. Now come to the next thing, that is Hashimoto's disease. What is in Hashimoto's disease? What happening in this disease? Our immune system, same happening in Graves' disease. In Hashimoto's disease, our immune system attacks on this gland, and the inflammation occurs. Okay, chronic inflammation occurs. Finally, this gland cannot release the enough hormones. That is happening in this Hashimoto's disease. Okay, this Hashimoto's disease, it attacks this gland, and the gland, it causes inflammation, and this gland cannot releases the hormones. So I hope you understand this whole lecture. I hope you like this, share this, comment this. Thank you.